Well, hello, everyone. My name is Trina Scully. I'm the Outreach and Events Manager for the Chamber of Commerce. The Chamber team and many of you are participating today from Saskatoon, which is situated on Treaty 6 territory and the traditional homeland of the Métis people. If you are joining us from other parts of the province, a warm welcome to you and thanks for being here. This is our Power Up series, which features industry experts who can provide Chamber members with real-world tips and tools to give their businesses a boost. Today's format is really simple. If you have any questions for our speaker, you can put those into the chat and Lana will be able to answer those for you. Our featured speaker today is Lana Sheppard, owner of Bizacademi Training. Lana knows what it takes to achieve success. With over 40 years of experience in business, she has learned the ins and outs of what it takes to create a thriving company. After spending the first 25 years in manufacturing and inventory management, Lana ventured out on her own and started a successful bookkeeping and payroll business. This gave her the opportunity to work with entrepreneurs of all backgrounds and industries. Now, Lana uses her expertise to help business owners create strategy that are both healthy and sustainable. She teaches them how to empower themselves and their teams so they can reach new heights in their lives and businesses. Please welcome Lana Sheppard.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to today's presentation. And I'm going to be speaking about business operator to owner. So a little bit about Bizacademi. Linda Profke is my business partner in Bizacademi, and Bizacademi was born in 2018 because of a lot of conversations her and I had on different situations we had with clients that we knew that just a little bit more encouragement, maybe some coaching, some training, knowledge in certain areas could prevent a lot of the situations that they were having. And some of the situations were actually quite costly. So we came up with Bizacademi Training, and we've been going ever since 2018. My journey, as before, was 40 years in manufacturing. Then I had checks and balances. And I started that in 2006. And by 2017, it had grown considerably. And one of the biggest moving points in my life was going to a UPW Tony Robbins event in 2017. There's a picture on the left with my two adult daughters. And really my whole intention to go there was just hang out with my kids. Little did I know that it was actually going to change my life. I did the fire walk, I walked the coals, I played full out. And fast forward to 2022, I've taken all of Tony's courses and I'm now a senior leader within the Tony Robbins organization. I've crewed a number of events. I think I counted about 15 that I've done in the last 2 years. And I'm one level below being a trainer in that world, and I love it. Some of the mentors that I've had over since 2017 is Robin Sharma. Most people know him by The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. Keith Cunningham is an absolute business guru. I love that man. As he says, I love numbers and numbers love me, for us financial people. Mary Morrissey, I did her Dream Builder coach program as well as her Life Mastery, which is through the Brave Thinking. And for 1 year, I mentored under her. I was one of 6 students that she spent one-on-one time with. So that was a blessing in itself. As well as Joseph McClendon, I am an elite neuro encoding certified coach with Joseph this past year. Dean Graciosi, I've been in his mastermind group. I've also done Project Next Level as well as High Ticket Academy for online course creation and marketing. And then, of course, Tony Robbins. I've done Mastery University, all of the courses. I've done the leadership. So it's kind of like pulling the curtain back and learning how Tony does what he does. And now being senior leader, it allows me to be in a group of about 800 trainers from all over the world who help me grow and challenge me to be better tomorrow as I am today. So it's been an amazing ride over the last 5 years to learn as much as I have. And like I say, it's been a life changer for me. So as Tony says, the only thing that's keeping you from getting what you want is the story you keep telling yourself. And the biggest thing that matters in business, in life, is mindset. Mindset is what drives all of your decisions and your actions, whether you consciously know that or not. So what is a mindset? Mindset is what shapes all your beliefs and decisions. As it's been spoken in science, from 0 to about 6 years old, you don't have a conscious, you're like a little computer downloading all kinds of experiences, and people are teaching you and telling you. At about age 6 is when you start to develop your conscious mind, which is now where you decide, you figure out what all your beliefs are. And there's a lot of us that will carry these beliefs through our life thinking they're true. When are they? We don't question them. For example, for myself, until I was about 55 years old, I thought I was lousy at sports because I had a coach tell me that when I was like 5 years old. I carried that belief through my entire life until I was doing a course and thinking, is that really true? Or is that just something that I've been telling myself? So I encourage everybody to sit down, write down what your beliefs are, and ask yourself, are they true? If they are true, great. If they aren't, then what should that new belief be? That a positive mindset also helps you for potential for growth, because you're going to be much more open to opportunities. You're going to be more open and brave to go outside your comfort zone. Challenges. If you're optimistic, odds are that you're going to approach the problems with a lot more resilience. You're going to look for solutions rather than just identifying why it can't be done. And emotional well-being, having a positive outlook and being gratitude goes a long way versus being negative, and it affects people in so many different ways. Anxiety, depression, a lot of that can stem back to the beliefs that we have about ourselves. And physical health, taking care of ourselves, being healthy, doing exercise, eating healthy food, getting rest. That was one of my big things when I had my business. I'd do all-nighters and not take care of myself. That's long gone. It's more taking care of myself and so that I am in better health. So operator versus owner. The 4 items that I'm going to cover are: where are you in your business cycle? What hats do you wear in your business? Minding the gap, and investing in yourself. And when we talk about business cycle, some people talk about life cycle in that, you start as a baby and you work through to being, a senior in your business. I want to take a little bit different spin on it. And I want to talk about the different phases, because I think for most businesses, if you can identify where you are in the phase of your business cycle, it helps you identify what you need to do to find solutions and break through that, because that's one of the biggest things that's going to happen when you're trying to move from working in your business to on your business. So the first one is discovery phase. Are you brand new at business and you're still kind of determining what your passion and your purpose of your business are? Are you in the design one where you're now setting up operations, you're developing processes and procedures? Maybe you've grown a little bit more that you need some help. Are you in alignment phase where you're trying to figure out, what do I need for resources? Some growth is happening. How can I execute the plan? Do you have a business plan? Like it's like putting a pilot in a plane and going, well, let's just go that way. Do you have a plan as to where exactly you want to take your business? Momentum, optimizing efficiency, expanding, finding strategic partnerships. Who can you partner with to strengthen? Maybe you need a partner you've identified an area that you're weak in, and then have those people partner up with you so that you can now either add more value to your business or offerings to your customer. So looking at those areas and identifying, how can you optimize in efficiency? Or freedom phase, like you've got your business up and going, you've got things running nice. This one would be a lot of the baby boomers that are looking at retirement. Do you have an exit plan? Can the place run by itself and you don't have to be there 24/7? That's questions. And even if you're starting out in business, you should still have an exit plan. Where do you want to be in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? where do you want to take the business? Because the more vision and clarity you have on that, the more apt you are to succeed at that. The second thing that I know for me was, how many hats do you need to wear? And Tony Robbins talks about 4 hats. You know, are you a manager? Are you an entrepreneur? Are you the artist? Are you the one creating? And then you just want somebody else running it, which is fine. But at the same time, there's a lot of different hats that you have to wear in a business. And one of them is definitely the entrepreneurial hat if you're the business owner, because you're the one that's usually coming up with all the innovative ideas and looking at the strategies that you want to be able to grow your business. You've got a financial hat. Are you keeping track of finances? Are you learning and or doing budgeting, forecasting? Are you keeping track of KPIs? If you're not measuring it, how can you manage it? Also, what you write, you invite. So, you know, having it up in your head is one thing, but do you have it down on paper and you're using it as an actual working document to help you track where you're going in your business? A marketing hat. How many of you are the ones developing your brand and positioning yourself in the market? So you're out looking at that, promoting your business, selling, doing all the functions of the marketing and advertising of the business. Human resources. This one was not my favorite one. Attracting, interviewing, retaining talent, and then doing HR management was one of the most painful hats I know in my business that I had to wear. We've got technology, especially nowadays, managing technology with bookkeeping business in about 2008 to 10, in that neighborhood. That's when a lot of technology started. There was more software that was coming online rather than desktop. And this was a hat that I had to wear and figure out, how do I stay with the tide and make sure that the technology that we were using and or offering and training our clients to use was what was on the market. So there was a lot of time that I was wearing the technology hat, whether it be for internal resources for computers. Like we had hosting service, we had everything set up so that even the bookkeepers back in 2010 could work from home if they wanted to, because just the way I had the platform set up. And then there's the administrative hat, which is all kinds of different administrative day-to-day tasks. So it's the day-to-day firefighting, putting stuff out, taking care of whatever that may be. So you've got those hats. Those are all the hats that most business owners are taking and wearing at one point or another. So what makes you an operator? Some of the things that you kind of have to think about is, and there's a lot that will say, you know, are you working in your business or on your business? So operator versus owner, very much the same. Are you in the business or are you on the business? And one of the biggest identifiers, if you're still operating as an operator, is you don't have a clear mission or a purpose. You're caught up in the day-to-day. You're exhausted at the end of the day going, I don't think I really felt like I got anything done. And you're not able to communicate to anybody, if you've got a team, as to where you're going and how you're going to get there. So you have little support. It's weak. It's loosey-goosey, if you want to call it that. That is one of the biggest indicators of being an operator versus an owner, is you do not have a purpose. You don't know your why. You don't know the business that you're actually in. What are you giving to your clients? Who are your clients? What are the services that what value add are you bringing to the table? You're so caught up in the day-to-day management of it that you've lost the vision and the view as to where you're going as a business. I think my thing is stuck here, just a sec. You don't have replicable procedures or systems in place. This was a big one for me. This took me probably 5 years at Checks and Balances to get that sorted out. And it was painful. It was costly. We had to do a lot of corrections. As I got more staff, you'd have 7, 8 bookkeepers all doing GSTs differently or PSTs or how they were entering in the books. They all had their own way of doing things. You could look at a general ledger and know exactly when one bookkeeper quit and the other one started. And I didn't want that. I wanted it seamless, and I wanted it everybody doing same. And that some of that came from my manufacturing background, lean processes, Kanban systems, making sure that everything was flowing as it should, and that we were over delivering to our clients. If we told them it was going to get done, it was going to get done. So taking all those systems apart and figuring that out was a huge job. And I know this one as well is one that people say, you know what, I haven't had time to do that. That's where you really, if you can put the time aside, is where you're going to get huge gains, is by going through that process and, getting procedures in place, finding the systems that you need, because you're not only going to get efficiencies, but it's going to allow you to train other people, to support you, and that's going to be the infrastructure for your business going forward. Whoopsie. Sorry, guys, just a minute. And micromanaging. This one, guilty as charged. This one I did a lot of. It was always, I better do it myself because I do it better than anybody else. So, not having a good trust in your staff, not taking proper time to onboard your staff or train them to be able to do what you need them to do, them not knowing what the vision is or what the purpose of the business is. What are their responsibilities? How many staff are walking around confused going, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. This is one that I know I was very, very guilty of until I did some of my work and figured out exactly where I wanted to go in my business. And for the first, 11 years of my business, I never took a vacation. I had no life. I worked. The home that I live in now, I had the first 2 years that I lived here that the neighbors didn't have a clue if anybody even lived here, because I'd be gone first thing in the morning, 5, 6 a.m. and I wouldn't roll in back home till 1 a.m. Like, it was crazy the hours I was working. And I didn't know what my exit plan was. I was so busy trying to figure out just how to survive the next month, the next year, that I couldn't see far enough down the road to know where I wanted. And I just figured I'll be here forever, like until the day I expire. So I had no life. I had no vacation. It just didn't exist. And it got to the point, 2017 was, you know what, this is really not how I want to live my life. And that's what happened in 2017 when I went to UPW. It was like I had put myself on autopilot. I was just going through the motions, just trying to survive the day, the month, and that had to change. So I went from autopilot to pilot. So I started breaking down exactly what my goals were, what my vision was, where did I want to be in 5 years, 10 years. And when I determined that, then I reversed engineered back to figure out what do I need to do to get myself there. And I know I'm not the only one that's in that boat. And I'm sure a few of you can resonate with that. So on the other side of operator is what makes you an owner. You've got capable systems in place. I hired actually my brother to come in and help me at checks and balances. I hired him for a year and a half, and we basically built all our systems. I had a time tracking system. I could give you the ratio on a bookkeeper at the end of the month, how many hours they generated in revenue, what I had to write off, what that percentage was. And I just kept working at that until I got as much profit out of it as humanly possible. When there was areas where we wrote off a lot of time, I would go back and say, okay, what happened? What was the process? How do we fix this so we're not doing it again? So there was a lot of conversations on that. I knew what my purpose was. I knew what my why was. I knew what I wanted to offer to clients, and it stopped from being about me and it started to be about my clients. I fell in love with my clients and I wanted to make sure that we served them as well as we could. And that was evident because I'd have other organizations try and steal business from me. And they would say, no, I don't want to leave Lana because she takes good care of us. So, the proof was in the pudding as time went on, that those strategies were keeping us strong for future. Trusting in my employees, bringing the team together, having sessions where we were talking about different processes, we were talking about different situations, and it got to the point that they were bringing a lot of good solutions. Or they would have a situation and go, hey, this happened today, let's find a solution for it. So we were becoming a lot more proactive versus reactive, and being able to deal with a lot of that stuff. And everybody was now a team. We were all working together, which was amazing and an awful lot of fun. I had a fantastic team that I worked with. Like I say, focusing on the client, not necessarily the product. What does your client need? Not necessarily what you think you want to offer or sell to them. What do they need? And again, for checks and balances, it was technology. They didn't want to be bringing their receipts to us. They wanted to be able to take a picture of them. They wanted to be able to be online, use their phones. Well, if I had the fixed mindset going, well, that's not what we do, you'd probably be dead in the water. We would have never survived. Our growth was directly related to identifying what our clients wanted and being darn good at providing it. Lives to serve, add value, value add, value add, value add. Jay Abrams has, and it's taught through Business Mastery at Tony Robbins, is the 10-10-10. If you increase your clients by 10%, you increase your fees, what you're making revenue by 10%, and you get those clients to buy an additional 10%, it's about a 56% increase in your revenue. So growth doesn't have to be, oh, I've got to double my sales this year. That would be suicide, because the growth of that would be absolutely painful. By taking small little increment and being strategic how you're doing it and maximizing out on your profit, it's amazing what will happen. And adding value, you've got services. What can you sell to your current clientele? It's a lot easier to sell more to them if they're happy with service than it is to try and onboard and find new clients. And for me, it was vacation time, doing some traveling, having some fun with my kids. And I had an exit plan, which I actually had figured out in 2017, and I sold in February 2020. So it took me those 3 years to figure out exactly what I had to do for processes. 2 of my last vacations were 2 to 3 weeks. Actually, the last one was 4 weeks away. And basically it was proof that I'd done all of my work, because the place ran without me being there. And every time prior to that, I'd go on a vacation. Then we had a list of what didn't work and what did they struggle with. Sort that out. So the next time I went on a vacation, we'd test it and see if it worked or not. So this is more working on your business rather than in your business. This is what becoming an owner is all about, rather than an operator of a business. So 3 things that you really have to think about is, now, you've identified operator versus owner. You've looked at the different areas that you need to do some work on, or identify, I need some help. Maybe I need to hire some other support staff. Now I call it minding the gap. You figured out where you are from operator and what's the size of that gap that you need to get to be that owner. And there's 3 things that I identified too that I needed to do. And it's getting clarity on the vision and purpose. I needed to be super clear on what my vision was, what was our purpose, who was our client, like actually have an avatar, because there's nobody that can sell to everybody. Who are you going to be best to sell to? Create the gap map, identify what those are, and figure out what those solutions are, and then commit to the plan. Like, what are the non-negotiables? You can make all the plans you want, but if you don't commit to it and actually do it, it's not worth the paper you've written it on. Getting clarity and vision and purpose was huge for me, in that you really had to sit down and ask a lot of really good questions. So getting clear, crystal clear on what your business's purpose is very, very important. making sure that you distinguish between strategy and tactics, because they're very different. And strategies is all working towards your long-lasting results, where tactics are the day-to-day. And pay attention to that, because a lot of times when you're writing things down, you're thinking it's one, and actually a lot of times it's the other one. And quality questions, meaningful engagement, understanding, better conversations. And I haven't put it on the slide, but I had quite a few of them that quality of questions, I think everybody is weak at. We ask superficial questions. The quality of the questions is going to give you the quality of the solutions. Like Einstein said, if I had to solve something in 1 hour, I'd spend 59 minutes figuring out what the quality question is and 1 minute answering it. That is so true. And I had the benefit of reading a couple of different books and being able to extract different questions. But some of the ones that I was asking was, where was I relying on experts to just come in and sell a solution, instead of identifying, what was the core problem that we needed to solve? Because a lot of times what I thought was the problem was actually just one of the symptoms. It wasn't the actual problem that I needed to solve. So there's one of that question took me into a lot of different aspects of the business and figuring out what were the answers to that. And sometimes I had to write that question and answer it 6, 7, 8 times before I actually got drilled down into the weeds deep enough to figure out exactly what was the problem that I was dealing with versus, thinking that I could just have somebody come in. Perfect example would be a CRM system. We didn't have we didn't have everything sorted out yet. I was trying to hire someone to come in and to put a CRM system. Well, it was total flop because we weren't ready for it. We didn't have all our ducks in a row before we actually had someone come in, and it cost me a lot of money and absolutely no return on my investment. Where are we throwing resources at a problem instead of being resourceful? So just spinning that question around and asking it from a different angle, you're going to get a lot of different answers to that question. Where are the obvious problems we're experiencing and what needs to be done about them? And being really honest with yourself. You can sit and BS everybody else, but if you're going to sit and BS yourself and tell yourself stories and try and justify why it is, you're not going to solve it. You have to be brutally honest with yourself and dig deep and go, you know what, this hasn't worked. I take total ownership of it, accountability, and we got to find some better solutions and move forward. But that was one of the biggest stepping stones for me, was just having that honest conversation with myself and figuring out. Yes, Brian, there you go. See, like somebody else that's experienced that. And what are the skills and where can I best acquire them? Taking a look at every area that you're wearing a hat, going, am I the one to be doing this? Or should I be finding somebody else that actually is better at this? Surround yourself with, people that are good at what they do, rather than trying to be the expert in everything. You can't be. It's absolutely impossible. And there is not an entrepreneur out there that doesn't try and do it. That's part of the experience of, creating and building a business and the whole bit. But that's part of that transition from operator to owner, is do what you do best, as Linda and I always say, and hire the rest. Find the right person, have the right interview questions to get that person that you need on your team, not with a mind of scarcity going, oh my God, I'll just take anybody that I can. Find the right person that's going to come on that team and be your support. And if they're better at it than you are, rock on. Like that's what you want. And bottlenecks, where are your bottlenecks? If that's one area that you can get, some low hanging fruit and find those areas, figure out what those are, because those little tiny gains, they're all going to add up to some sizable reimbursement, either in profit or efficiencies or whatever goal you're going after. Those are the ways that you find them. And here's my favorite one was, where has the job mentality of comfort zone or the path of least resistance and do the least expecting the most crept into my thinking and performance? Because there was a lot of times that I would flip to, oh my God, this is just a job. Or I'd be driving home going, you know what, 9 to 5 would be really good right now. That would last about 20 minutes. Like, yeah, no, I don't want to go back to being an employee. I got to figure this out. But I'd have all these different thoughts and trying to figure it out. So this was a question that I sat with and found a lot of insights into how I was making my decisions, what actions were I taking, and again, taking that mindset and spinning it around going, yeah, that's not the mindset that I should be using right now, because it's not going to move the dial for me in the direction that I want it to go. And where are there growth opportunities that I've been postponing because they require extra effort or are outside my comfort zone? And that's another one that I would sit quiet with, because I think as entrepreneurs, some of us like to take lots of risks, but a lot of us will take the risk up to about 90%. And then that last 10%, it's like, I can't do it because it might not be perfect. It might, it might not work out. What if it doesn't work out? What am I going to do? We have all these conversations with ourselves. And a lot of us, until you start paying attention to mindset and bringing those thoughts forward more into your conscious, you notice what you're noticing after that and start recognizing when you're making decisions, what thought process, what have you been saying to yourself, or, how did you make that decision based on these questions that you're asking? So I think there's so much that can be learned from just the quality of the questions that you're asking, because then the solutions are going to be a lot clearer as to maybe what you need to do. Who do you need to bring on your team? Who do you already have on your team that you could mentor and pull them forward so that they could be taking on more responsibilities and taking the time to do that? And that's the biggest thing. It's, you're always fighting how many hours you've got in a day and do I have time to do this? It's a battle that all of us have experienced, either in personal life or definitely in business. So minding the gap, some of the things that I did was the current process. I really sat down, and I sat down with a team as well and went through and said, okay, identified everything that was working really well and what needed to be improved. And honestly, what sucked and we had to either stop doing or find new solutions for. Customer feedback. I had one of my admin, we had a list of questions, and we actually made phone calls to clients and said, what are we really good at? What haven't we done well? And be honest with us, because the only way we're going to be able to improve is by having honest feedback. And any reoccurring issues or complaints that we had, they were addressed. We looked for solutions. We were accountable. If we screwed up, we admitted it. Like, the worst thing you can do is phone someone and go, well, you got this whole list of excuses why. No, your client doesn't want to hear that. They want an apology. And the best thing you can do is just fess up and say, hey, you know what? We failed at providing good service for you. Easy as that. And I think some of our clients actually respected that. And I think our relationship became stronger, as well as they were more comfortable phoning. I got phone calls where, hey, you guys did really well this month, hats off to you guys, or, you know what, this happened, and, you might want to look at that. So the communication with our customers, I felt, also improved just because of that communication and letting them know that we're looking, we're growing, we're trying to be best at what we do. And we're trying to identify where are these gaps in our service or products that they're going to be the first ones that can tell us what aren't we giving them and what would they like. Employees, doing regular evaluation, identifying areas for training and support, encouraging learning was something that I really pushed. I'm an avid reader. I've read hundreds of books in the last 2 years. and knowledge is power, but it's only powerful if you execute it. You can read all the books you want, but if you don't take that knowledge and actually execute it in action, whether it be in your business or personal life, what is it? You've read something. That's about the bulk of that. Financial data. I love financial literacy. That's the area that I spend the most time and I'm very passionate about. And understanding your numbers. If you don't measure it, how are you going to be able to manage it? What are your key performance indicators? If you make a decision in your business, how do you know that's the right decision? Are you watching the numbers? Are you making sure that, if you say it's going to give you 10% growth, has it given you 10% growth? If it hasn't given you 10% growth, what did you not realize, or what was missing in the equation? What wasn't going well? Or is something else fell off the rails? So paying attention to your financial data, making sure that and if you don't know how to read your financials, get somebody to teach you. It's simple math. Like, it's not complicated to learn how to read your income statements. Your financials are basically the story of your business in numbers. Your general ledger is your storybook. It's telling all the decisions and actions of your business in numbers. So if you learn how to convert that knowledge of the numbers over into the business decisions and actions, it's so powerful. Absolutely. Like, I can't stress enough how important financial data is. And competition. Are you paying attention? Like, I've had business that goes, oh, I don't have any competition. Yes, you do. Pay attention. What are they doing? How are they doing it? Can you be doing something better? Can you, redesign something, or, add more value add than what they are? You have to pay attention to what your competitors are doing. And then commit to the plan. If you're going to set achievable goals, make sure you establish specific and measurable. So if you say, I'm just going to increase my sales this year. So is $1 an increase? Is it $50? How much are you going to increase your sales? If you say, I'm going to increase my sales by $50,000 by June 30th, that is a measurable objective. So you need to be specific, and it needs to be measurable. That's the only way to write goals. Track your progress. Can't manage what you're not measuring. So whatever those specific and measurable objectives are, how are you going to measure them? What are your KPIs that you're going to make sure that you're on track? Celebrate. This is something we should be doing a lot more in life, is gratitude, appreciate, reward ourselves, even if it's the little tiny milestone. Maybe you say, you know what, I got 3 things I want to get done today. When you get all 3 things done, celebrate, jump up, go, hooray, I got them. Because the physiology of that, taking that into your system unconsciously, you're going to look for more of that. Because there's only 2 things we have in life, pain or pleasure, and we're always looking for more pleasure. So subconsciously, you would be basically rewiring yourself for more celebration and gratitude if you do that. Communicate, share your goals, your vision with your employees, any of your stakeholders, so that everybody knows where you're going. I often think that, some business owners, and I used to kid the staff about this, that I had a hat that said, I'm the leader, where's everybody gone? Because I wasn't telling them what I was thinking. I wasn't communicating well to where we were going. Why was I doing what I was doing? Like, why was I taking on technology? I figured they should just know that that's the way we have to go. They don't. You got to make sure you're communicating that. And once they understood the direction I wanted to take the company, they were all on board. But up until then, they didn't have a clue. Like, what is she doing? And then they get frustrated because they didn't know and just thought it was pointless and ridiculous. So communication, and like I said, communication is important with your clients, phoning them. Hey, what are we doing well? What aren't we doing well? Those are critical questions. And that's something, now you get these little online interviews or things. Big deal. Pick the phone up and talk to your customers, especially your A customers. Make them feel good. Send out thank you cards. that's something that it's amazing. People like to get mail again, little things like that. How can you be different than everybody else? And remain flexible. This is, you can have all the plans in the world, but life gets in the way. And COVID, who predicted that one? You could have all the plans you want. COVID turned the whole world up on its head. How do you deal with that? A lot of people got paralyzed. They just stopped. They didn't know what to do. They didn't know how to pivot. Though a lot of businesses went down, how many of those businesses would be around today if they would have had a plan and they were able to pivot? Interesting question, I would think. And biggest thing, invest in yourself. Learning, reading. I always say protect the door to your mind. What are you putting in your mind? Are you putting in all this garbage on the news? Are you reading books? Like, who are your mentors? Who are the people you look up to? Are you reading about them? Are you taking courses? Do you have a coach? Cripes, if I would have hired a coach back in 2006 when I started Checks and Balances, I only shudder to think where I would be today or when I would have sold. And I really doubt that the journey would have been as painful as it was. I honestly believe that. And I think having a coach, somebody that is on your team to help you with a lot, or courses, books, like feed your mind with good information. I've got a huge library. I've read about 500 books in the last 3 years. It's like having my friends around me is kind of how I describe it, because it's knowledge, it's information from so many different people. And even if I read a book and I only have one takeaway, to me, that's a gift. I've got something new that I can take, knowledge, and actually execute and apply to my life. Networking, being around like-minded who can offer advice, support, motivate you. With being in the Tony Robbins world now, there's about 800 of us in senior leader trainer position that we have weekly sessions with the 2 top trainers, Tad and Vicky, who are Tony Robbins' right-hand people. And honestly, it's the best thing in the world for me, because it really forces me to be the best version of me every day. And it's like having my best friends. We're all like-minded, we're all supporting each other, and we're all growing leaps and bounds where, I don't know, I'm just grateful that I've had that opportunity. But that's what everybody should be doing, especially if you're in business, because some days you honestly feel like you're the only one going through this when it's really not the case. So who is your little team of masterminders, networkers, somebody that you can reach out to when, hey, even if you just need someone to sit and chew their ear off, who are those people that you've got? Because it absolutely helps in the long run. And exercise, not only for physical, but also for mental stress relief. It's amazing, if you're having a bad day, go outside and be in nature for a half an hour. Just get out of the office, go walk around the block if you have to, whatever the case may be. A lot of people go to Tony Robbins, they can't figure out why everybody's jumping up and down and doing that. It's all state, it's all physiology, because your body is producing different chemicals that actually give you mental clarity. It helps with stress. Same with music and dancing. Do you realize you can't dance and not be happy? Like, you can't be grumpy and dance with a smile on your face. You can't do the same thing. You can't do it at the same time. So if you're having a bad day, what are your little tools in your toolbox that will get you through it and change your mindset? Go and dance. Find out, whatever your little tricks are that you're able to do. And Linda and I had the opportunity to be co-authors in a book, and actually the book came off the printers yesterday. So we're just expecting copies of the actual book. But a gift to everybody that's attended today is a copy of this as a PDF. So from that website, and either Trina or Henry will also put it in the chat. And chapter 4 is a story that I've written basically on my journey and some of the things that I've talked about today about going from operator to owner. So you're all welcome to download a copy of it, enjoy it. The other 9 coaches that are in the book, they've all got great little takeaways and tips and tricks for everybody to apply for anybody that is trying to grow their business. And on that, I thank you very much for allowing me to present for the chamber and share some of our tips and tricks that we've got from Bizacademi.